Paper Mario for Nintendo 64. There's volumes of adventure.
Hey all, Josh here. This is MojoPlays and welcome to the Paper Mario Iceberg, probably the biggest and chunkiest iceberg for Paper Mario thus far. If you don't know the format, we're gonna run through some facts, interesting tidbits, and lore on the Paper Mario series. And as we make our way down to the deep waters of the iceberg, it's gonna get a little more niche, things you probably never knew, and a lot more cursed. Paper Mario is of course the well-known Nintendo IP, which was conceived as a spiritual successor to Super Mario RPG. Amongst a journey of creative design shifts and changes to its very identity, this once simple franchise has stirred up a lot of curious happenings in its time. We got volumes of content to cover. Tornado jump, subscribe, and power smash like if you enjoy. Let's go! TMNT Bros. The Koopa Bros are bosses in PM64 and talk in general surfer dude slang, wearing colored headbands which resemble the Ninja Turtles. In one of Chuck Quizmo's quiz questions, they try to trick you by saying there is a blue Ninja Koopa, like Leonardo. Star Spirits throw a Mario party. In the first Paper Mario, Star Spirits are the collectible MacGuffins. They appear in 3D to host Mario Party 5, where gameplay takes place over different dream-themed boards. Breadward. Breadward is a pixel of oats and lard. He's once mentioned, albeit as a false reward. Even if he isn't real, people do love to draw him. Tattle Trash Can. If you miss a tattle on an enemy that only shows up one time, you can visit Professor Frankly's trash can, and you'll be able to find it there, helping players to not miss out on tattle log completion.
I'm the trash man!
Audience hates meows. Optional partner in TTYD, Miss Meows, has a humorous bug on some of her attacks. Despite successful inputs, the crowd will still boo her. White outlines. White outlines were given to the Paper Mario cast ever since
Color Splash
to reinvent the series by completely changing the visual style and genre. TTYD Remake is striking a possibly perfect balance by leaning into the old visual paper doll style, but with an ever so slight white edge as an incorporation of both visual ideas. Peach kisses someone. PM64 has a cut sprite of Peach kissing someone. The darkened colors on Peach imply this would have taken place during the end parade cutscene when the credits roll. Mario Mandates. Yep, you've all heard of it. The Mario Mandates are a fan-made term to describe the limitations seemingly placed on the creative teams at Nintendo. An interview with Kensuke Tanabe, which is why he gets a lot of the heat for this, producer and designer working at Nintendo, infamously stated that since Paper Mario Sticker Star, it was, quote, no longer possible to create original characters that touch on the Mario universe. In most recent years, this ideology is believed to have lessened as we are seeing more unique and experimental ideas being added into the world of Mario once again. Remake box art. TTYD's remake cover takes its design from the original Japanese cover art of the Thousand Year Door instead of the American brown paper cover. Both are great, it's just cool to see an incorporation of the original. Albino Dino. Albino dinos were cut enemies from the Crystal King's palace. They had a full tattle and dash attack finished, but not a whole lot else. BP Only Run. BP Only Runs are self-imposed challenges where, upon Mario's level up, you only choose BP. This allows you to choose from lots of different moves, but not very often and not with very much health. Peril Strats. Being at low health in Paper Mario is actually where you might want to be most of the time. Certain badges will give Mario a sharp increase in attack when at low health, and the term Peril Strats comes from the idea of purposefully putting yourself in peril to dish out big damage. Unfolded Volumentals. The Volumentals of the Origami King are deity-like beings who King Ollie is said to have refolded, but we never get to see what they look like in their original unfolded state. Beldum Posting. Users typically being transphobic or rude would be hit with an image of Beldum with a speech bubble quoting whatever the person had just said, since Beldum as a character is spiteful and petty and presented to be possibly transphobic in at least a few versions of the game's translation. This meme caught fire pretty quick as mean comments were drowned out in a sea of Beldum reacts. Debug rooms. PM64 has cut test rooms within its files that are bizarrely massive in scale, floating, untextured, geometric shapes like some sort of Paper Mario the Backrooms. The Underwear, World -1, and Greek myth. Super Paper Mario features the Underwear, a location inspired by the underworld of Greek myth, and subtly refers to itself as World -1. This is a reference to a glitch in the first Super Mario Bros. Where Mario could travel to an endless water level named World -1 by jumping through a block. Flavio glitch. A very popular glitch is to get Flavio to follow you full time, and why wouldn't you want that? Have you seen this guy?
Nice.
Origami body horror. The Origami King took some inspiration from the body horror genre of horror fiction, usually involving the mutilation of the human form, except now, of course, it's paper, so it's not nearly as gruesome, just a bit of an odd place to pull inspiration from. Long Vivian. Vivian has the unique quirk of always being connected to the ground. When passing over large pits, a commonly silly sight is to watch Vivian stretch herself like a rubber hose over the pitfall to make it to the other side. Super Paper Mario takes place inside a computer. Super features worlds like the Bitlands that exist with scenery resembling pixels, along with many species of people that are made up of geometric shapes like those rendered by a computer. Even Mario's flip ability is visually similar to drawing a selection box with a computer mouse. They're either in a dimension that is very computer-like, or, this is the Paper Matrix.
Oh, nice computer you got here. Can I have it?
First Paper Mario has no paper. Paper Mario 64 has no paper references other than the storybook we see being messed with to introduce the Star Spirits. It has no paper abilities, and the characters don't consider themselves paper, despite the game's title. In fact, in Japan, the first Paper Mario is simply called Mario Story, whereas each one after is called Paper Mario. One day, I would like Nintendo to drop Mario Story 2. Lost a Chain Chomp partner. Early Sticker Star footage showed us a glimpse at a supposedly much more traditional Paper Mario experience. The game featured partners like its predecessors, one of which was a friendly Chain Chomp, who could break through blocks and fight with Mario in battle. He was eventually scrapped, and a friendly Chomp has been a highly requested character ever since.
What the dog doing?
Paper Mario Castle in Mario Kart. Princess Peach's castle appears in Mario Kart Super Circuit. It's an interesting crossover where we see the racers, and then we can see Bowser and Peach's castles, specifically the design from Paper Mario. Paper Peach is just watching alternative versions of her friends race right outside her window. Super was a GameCube game. For a large part of its development, Super Paper Mario was going to be a GameCube game until it was repurposed for the Wii. I really wonder what the early build would have been like, being that the tippy cursor is so strictly motion control dependent in its final state. Choco-Cola is wine. Choco-Cola, the drink Admiral Bobbery asks for as his last meal, is actually wine in most translations of the game. Looking at the sprite, yeah, I can see that. Choco-Cola also appears in the Mario & Luigi RPG series, where it is most definitely a soft drink, however. Goomba glitch. Goomba teaches Mario the ropes at the start of PM64, and because he's registered as a party member once, it's possible to glitch him into a state where he follows you through the whole adventure, often causing a lot of crashes. Luigi Mean Stare meme. A Mario Kart meme is referenced in Color Splash. When Luigi go-karts Mario up to Bowser's castle, Huey tells him that if anyone messes with him, to show them that mean stare he has. Goomba King boss in Mario 64. The Goomba King appears as a boss in Mario 64 DS after his first appearance in the Paper Mario series. He then has continued to make cameos in full 3D, escaping the role of just a Paper Mario character that other notable characters haven't been able to break out of. Scissors is the same pair. The design of a certain pair of scissors is identical from Sticker Star to Origami King, with a green plastic handle. Only in Origami King, he becomes a full-out villain and has gone mad with power. What happened, Scissors? I thought we were cool. Trials of the Triforce. On Diamond Island in Origami King, Paper Mario must complete a trial of courage, wisdom, and power. This is a reference to the pieces of the Triforce from The Legend of Zelda with the same monikers. #Remaster 1000 Year Door campaign. Organized by YouTuber Arlo in 2019, #Remaster 1000 Year Door was a simple campaign to express to Nintendo how much fans were desperate for a re-release of Paper Mario the 1000 Year Door. The petition asked users to only sign if they were more than willing to purchase the game if Nintendo were to ever bring it to Switch, and the change.org page received over 55,000 signatures. Origami King was released shortly after this campaign, and based on the life cycle of Nintendo games, whatever were to come out next in the series likely would have entered development sometime in or around 2020. Cut to today, 2024, just prior to the fabled 1000 Year Door remake, and audiences wonder if we really did have an impact, even if ever so small, on the push for this title. Vivian is trans. Vivian in the original Japanese release of TTYD identifies as a girl. In English, she calls herself one of the Shadow Sisters, or the Shadow Beauties as she delightfully dubs them. This leads to a confrontation scene with her sister Beldam, who insults and mocks her, stating in many versions of the game to not forget that she is, quote, a man. In the English and German releases, however, this scene is entirely changed, so that Vivian is never shown to have transphobic dialogue directed towards her. Whether or not the original line was included intentionally to present a pro-trans character is unclear. It was 2004, they were probably just making a jab, but being that Vivian does bravely rebel against her sister's manipulative ways, plenty of folks have identified with her story and have taken it as such. It is worth noting that Italian, French, and Spanish translations all keep the original line, with Italian explicitly describing her with the quote, "She used to be a man, but now she's a woman and proud of it." It would be great if TTYD Remake restored the original dialogue of the scene so that Vivian can canonically be trans across all versions of the game, because dang it, she's a great character, and it makes her character's motivations even that much stronger. Beating Paper Mario without Mario. A popular challenge in the Paper Mario community is to only use the partner characters in all of the game's battles and have Mario take no actions. Essentially, having the chosen partner save the day solo. Power Bounce has a cap. Power Bounce is a beloved badge from the Paper Mario games that lets you continually jump attack as long as you never miss the timed input. The trick is that all bosses have a hidden number, or cap, that Power Bounce will automatically cancel at, making an ordinary player think, I just missed. Curiously, the Dodge Master badge in PM64 has a hidden synergy where it actually gives you more bounces after a boss's usual cap. Food-themed Spinias. Food-themed Spinia variations were removed. Luigi here would have likely had a few more partners, as there is a burger-looking Spinia that was cut from TTYD. XD3RB8HH 9ZR2FL16. No one has been able to decipher what exactly this number means. It's found in a trash pile within Sticker Star, and as of now, all we have is that it was most likely a simple visual gag of an eShop code that has been thrown away, but fans can't help but try to decipher it to this day. Johnson name drop. An enemy minion named Johnson is name dropped in TTYD, Super Paper Mario, and Color Splash. Either a common nickname for an underling, or this guy gets around. Bug Fables. Bug Fables is of course the Paper Mario spiritual successor made by Moonsprout Games, which earned critical acclaim for its cute characters, refreshing combat system, and nostalgic charm. It truly was and still is the paper-like RPG fix fans were begging for years. Speaking of Paperverse in the paper-like genre. The Paperverse, to quote them, is a collective of indie game developers making games inspired by the Paper Mario series. This community releases a fan-made direct in the style of a Nintendo Direct each year, pulling in, so far, a cumulative 47K views for exclusively paper-like indies, along with tens of other creators like the Wild Arts Studios team, who recently released Born of Bread. I myself have joined this team with my own passion project.
All of them were made by very small teams, or even just one person. Be sure to give them a hand and help them share their hard work.
Cursed chests are the former heroes. Grifty, the rooftop storyteller, lets us know the cursed chests we come upon in-game are actually the souls of 4 former heroes which defeated the Shadow Queen. The spirits themselves speak rather villainously, however, so we're only left to wonder why and how they lost their minds. Sprites used for half of the series. Paper Mario 64, Sticker Star, Color Splash, and Origami King use sprites to render Mario in solid poses, whereas TTYD, Super, and TTYD Remake use a paper doll effect where each body part of the character is floating and then is overlaid on top of the body for bouncy movement. Out of all of them, only 64 has a noticeably pixelated visual style. Junior Troopa and the partners in TTYD. Junior Troopa is a recurring boss from PM64. He's a little kid that you beat the snot out of, and can be seen in the background of one of Mario's emails in TTYD. Bo also makes an appearance, and sprites exist for the other partners, but most are not seen. Blow up Watt's lantern. Watt actually gives unique dialogue if you blow up her lantern with Bombette instead of hammering it like you would normally be expected to. Jump storage. Jump storage is a popular glitch in TTYD that, to my understanding, involves storing a jump output in a separate save file and then manipulating the game to use that jump in places Mario would not normally be able to reach. Bazap in Forever Forest. The Forever Forest hides a bee's nest off of a secret path. When found, this nest can spawn a Bazap, an enemy from much later in the Flower Fields chapter. Essentially, it's possible to fight a Chapter 6 enemy in Chapter 3. Frankly has a complete map. The entire time Mario meets with Professor Frankly, regardless of your progress in the game, Frankly has a complete map detailing the secret locations of all the crystal stars, despite acting like it's a big mystery the whole time. Merly Mansion Clock. The clock in Merly's Mansion tells you the time that the Wii is set to. These clocks are never important or interactable, plus the way they're drawn truly blends into the background, props to you if you ever noticed. Gulliver met Bobbery. Gulliver is a silly sailor who washes up in your town within the Animal Crossing games. Speaking to him occasionally reveals that he has met a one Admiral Bobbery of Rogueport. Vivian forgot the Palace of Shadow. Vivian doesn't remember the Palace of Shadow, even though her sisters visit and likely commune with the Shadow Queen on a regular basis. Is this a mere plot hole, or some part of her memory being altered? She does say the place is familiar. Hitting a block for 416 years. Hitting certain blocks in 64 over 4 billion times causes the game to crash, as it has a limit of how many hammer attacks it can keep track of. User Strider7X crunched the numbers. It would take about 416 years to hit it this many times. Maple Tree Way Hidden Theme. In Shogun Studios found in Origami King, a secret Mario Kart song can be heard, but as a slowed down version. The song is in fact Maple Tree Way, having been altered. Buying dirty underwear. Goomfrey, a criminal Goomba from Rogueport, buys dirty underwear. That's exactly what Jolene says, specifically that he is known to buy it.
Suspicious.
When you speak to him, he acts like he's just doing his job by making the boxers disappear, but the dialogue chosen to be said by the no-nonsense Jolene makes this interaction a little suspicious. Mario's bedroom. The Mario Bros. Bedroom can be found and explored in PM64, and while it makes a brief appearance in TTYD's intro, we never get to see this version in full, but it is once again fully modeled. Okaru. Okaru is a cut enemy from TTYD that looks like a power amp. His name means to get angry, and his colors are similar to the enemies found in the Schwank Fortress. Mario RPG 64 and Paper Mario 2. TTYD was called Paper Mario 2 briefly during development and had a title screen made with this name present. Mario RPG 64 was seen in early concept art documents. Riverside Station Clock. The Riverside Station Clock is also set to the GameCube's current time. It's only notably shown during a brief cutscene when you enter. Baking cake for 4.5 years. PM64 asks the player as Peach to cook a cake for 30 seconds, but the counter within the code will keep track of up to 4 billion and some frames to wait for player input. If it exceeds this number, the timer will begin to count up from 0. Doing the math of waiting the 4 billion frame overflow value plus the 30 seconds you're actually supposed to wait for the cake brings you to 4.5 years of baking, still resulting in a successful cake. Telescope Jump Scare, a strategically placed jump scare toad which pops up very suddenly after trying to use a telescope. Thank you, Nintendo's very cool. British Trees. The small trees with square leaves found around Toad Town in Paper Mario 64 are called British trees in the game's textures. Regional Washing Machine. The washing machine in Color Splash changes depending on your region. A top-loading model is used for America, and a front-loader for Europe and Australia. Cameron with an X, Cocktails. Cameron with an X is a YouTuber and mixologist who has made an entire series of Paper Mario-themed drinks for his website. Ever wanted to try a tasty tonic? Well, now you can, since he provides the full recipe on his posts. Each drink is inspired by the purpose the item or character has in the game to wonderful detail. Dullbones Audience. In TTYD, the audience determines how much star power you will earn from using special moves. Using attacks with stylish inputs will net you a bunch more power, but Dullbones have the odd quirk of never awarding any.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Goomba never gets his hammer back. Goomba teaches you the basics and awards you your iconic weapon, the hammer. As Mario upgrades it over the course of his adventure, it's never shown if Goomba got that first hammer back. Yellow Paint Dance Attack. Mario has an extremely rare attack in Color Splash, where he must be out of items and cards during Roy's battle with him, while being covered in his yellow paint move. When all these factors are true, Mario will cut a rug over to Roy and simply hit him with a random stick. Origami King Body Count. Across the franchise, the Origami King has by far the most death. Tech, Lovebee, Grotus, King Crocus, King K, and others all return to life within their games after pretty unmistakably dying. Whereas Origami King kills most of the Legion of Stationery, Olivia, Bobby, and King Ollie outright without any indication of walking it back. Ladder Pixel. Super Paper Mario seemingly had a main character cut from its development, this square pixel that could be seen on the title screen that resembles the shape of a ladder. Being that all pixels give Mario a special power, it's likely its power was given to someone else. One theory is that it gave Mario the ability to flip between dimensions, like he can do himself in the final version. Perhaps this pixel would shift from a 2D box to a 3D cube to represent the ability, but little can be speculated otherwise. Murder Scene. A chalk outline of a toad can be found, implying that a murder indeed took place here. Enemy levels in TTYD. At one point in TTYD, enemies had ranks and levels which would likely change how difficult they were to fight. There was a cut item that Mario could use which ranked the enemy up, therefore awarding him with more star points, but this whole system was removed for simplicity. Tidal Wave Crash. Sushi's Tidal Wave lets players input commands to build up some big damage within a short window. Funny thing is, inputting over 14 correct prompts is both extremely difficult and guaranteed to crash original copies of the game. Anger's Power. Anger Power is a cut badge that was never fully finished. It took away the ability to choose what attacks Mario would do in exchange for this rage animation and a damage boost.
You tripping, bro. You tripping.
Finished Cut Badges. Various other cut content and finished badges from PM64 include Right On, a badge that guarantees an action command is successful, Quake Jump, like Quake Hammer, but a jump, Healthy Healthy, a badge that lessens the chance to become poisoned or dizzy, as well as removed items like the Transformation Cane, a tag named Please Come Back, and the Hustle Drink, which gives Mario an additional turn in battle. It's like the coffee from Bug Fables. Dark Bones in Minecraft. Minecraft's Mario Mashup Pack changes the textures and models in Minecraft to those that would be seen in the Mushroom Kingdom, and features a subtle Paper Marioism. Wither skeletons are reskinned as Dark Bones, a harder enemy variant found within TTYD. 9-Hour Chapter 2. Super contains one of my favorite chapters of all time, Chapter 2 starring Mimi, where she sets you up for forced volunteer work until you pay an outrageous debt. Inevitably, players will find a way into her vault to simply steal the payment required to escape, but do know that it is technically possible. It just takes, by Super Mario Bros.'s calculations, 9 hours and 33 minutes to do so legitimately. Submitting to the Shadow Queen. In the Japanese version of TTYD, choosing to submit to the Shadow Queen makes Mario go all creepy, with heavy breathing and an odd smile, as if he had suddenly become possessed. Bonetail's Eye. Bonetail is completely skeletal, but he does have a glowing blue eye within the files of the game. This is never seen and does not appear in any attack. Punished for 1-up strats. The infinite 1-up trick from the first Mario Bros. Doesn't work in Super, despite being a similar platformer. Instead, Mario will eventually lose points for trying the trick. Cut attacks. 64's unlocalized Japanese text includes the description of cut attacks, one of the strangest being painful jump. This has a completely unknown effect. Some of the more elaborate descriptions we do have are for a move called Upper Hammer, where Mario strikes an airborne enemy from below with his hammer, or the move Alter Ego, which splits Mario into 2 copies, lessening the chance for taking damage. Playboy Boo. Lala and Pika are boos who work for the mob boss of Rogueport, and wear little kitty ears. Or at least they do in most versions of the game. In the Japanese version, the sisters wear bunny ears in reference to the Playboy outfit, whose costumes are explicitly adult-oriented. Furthermore, in-game dialogue explains that Lala is specifically 18, which I would certainly hope so at least, but it's a little sus they felt the need to specify. Economically insightful crows. The crows in TTYD's Twilight Town can be spied on with Vivian, where they begin to remark about global warming and sustainable energy sources. What, if anything, will they change this to in the remake, I wonder? Crows start talking about Bitcoin or something? The tribe are Unseelie Fae. Count Bleck and Noel Realm are from the Tribe of Darkness, who are described as beings that live in the center of a dark forest away from humans. Bleck's tragic story details about him falling in love with a human girl is done in a very fairy tale-like manner. The tribe is likely a nod to Fae lore and folktales from such places as Scotland, England, Ireland, or Wales about evil Fae known as the Unseelie Court, who also possess powerful magics and an avoidance to humans. Pit of Trials is a prison. Grifty, our TTYD storyteller, says the Pit of 100 Trials is actually a prison, and that the Shadow Queen throws people down there who disagreed with her. This may imply Bonetail was more noble in life, or just the dragons didn't get along with her. Steal from Mr. L. When fighting the oh-so-mysterious Mr. L in Super Paper Mario, the Green Thunder will occasionally pull out a shroom shake to heal himself. As a little-known interaction, Mario can actually nab the shake with Thoro, to which Mr. L plays a sad animation.
Oh, no! Ah!
Blow away a bush. There's one bush in Petal Meadows you can blow away with Flurry, but none of the others behave like this. Piranha plants always sleep. Piranha plants are 100% susceptible to the sleep status effect. This is likely a reference to how they are found as sleeping plants within other games. Lottery is rigged. The Happy Lucky Lottery is rigged. Mario will always lose and win at a set time, and the Bomb-Omb running the game freaks out if you ever change the clock forward on your GameCube.
What would you do if you were the victim of a crime or saw a crime being committed? First, stay calm, then find a phone and call the police.
Shy Guy Slot Machine. In Shy Guy's toy box, there is a slot machine which the player can interact with. Battling in front of the machine has it appearing in the background of the fight. Wouldn't you know it, you can still play it during the battle as well using your attacks. Koopa Curse. The Koopa Curse is a cut item that would have caused the slow status, a very rare status which the player can never inflict. It makes the afflicted attack every other turn. Mario Tattle. If a Duplighost disguises itself as Goombario in combat, it can actually use Tattle on Mario. The dialogue goes, "It's Mario, silly. He's here to save Princess Peach, who is captured by Bowser. Remember, he fights until the bitter end, no matter what enemies attack." Can't See Koopa is a pun on the words Can't See Koopa, and is likely related to Hookbill the Koopa. Both are massive red-shelled bullies, who we've never seen depicted anywhere else. Can't See Weak Spot. Mario can attack his tail when he is flipped to deal extra damage to him. O-Chunks goes easy on Peach. During O-Chunks battles, the boss will actually deal less damage to Peach. He'll taunt less and throw her less far compared to the other boys.
What? Just because I'm a meathead doesn't mean I'm not effeminate.
Huey's Polygon Count. Huey's model has more polygons than all of Super Mario 64 combined. 10 entities stored. Paper Mario 64 often stores the sprites of characters in the scene outside of bounds. In the Smash Attack minigame, however, there are a whopping 10 Luigis which can be found loaded underneath the game's floor. The strangest part is that Luigi himself is never present in this room, implying at some point this was to be some sort of Luigi-centric area. The giant who had no heart in his body. Tubba Blubba, a boss in Paper Mario 64, is inspired by the Norwegian fairy tale, A Giant Who Had No Heart in His Body. In it, a giant cannot be killed because he hid his heart in the bottom of a well. While the protagonist must acquire the keys to access this well, the main difference is that Tubba's well is within a windmill, while the giant had his in a church. Lose to Crump. You can die in the very first Crump fight in TTYD. It just takes some luck. You must first lower your health from the water, only to have the background prompt on the player's side randomly fall on you. Huey's Fate. At the end of Color Splash, even with 100% completion, all we get to see is the final scene of Huey absorbing all the evil black paint and seemingly going unconscious. He falls into the fountain from the beginning of the game, but is he dead, in a coma, still alive within the fountain? You know, it's really unclear. Only one toad in Super Paper Mario. Modern Paper Marios have a reputation of containing a vast amount of toads and hardly any other characters, whereas based Super Paper Mario only contains one toad, surprisingly enough. Bobbery likes Luigi's stories. Admiral Bobbery seems to like Luigi's adventures. While all other partners fall asleep as Luigi talks, and Bobbery does in fact have a sleeping animation, Bobbery will remain happily idle throughout every Luigi storytelling.
I tell you what though, folks, that's bloody nice. That is bloody lovely.
Grab the Booty ad. The Nintendo Power magazine ran an ad with Cortez at the back of their official guide for TTYD. The offer reads, quote, "Grab the Booty," where subscribers would receive a limited edition Mario shirt when signing up for a year of Nintendo Power. These shirts, to my knowledge, have never surfaced anywhere on the internet, so who knows how many actually got made. Fractale runs on Wii hardware. A quick visual gag during the first boss fight of the game shows Fractale buffering while a particular icon appears over his eyes. This is in fact the Wii Shop loading graphic and jingle, which is only ever referenced within a game during this moment. Fractale and his prototype Ractale were built by the ancients, maybe just to play Wii games though. Who created the Crystal Stars? In-game text outright says the Shadow Queen created the Crystal Stars, but a riddle in the Riddle Tower implies that the stars existed far before her as well, even to these ancient beings. Green General Guy and Tootin' Koopa's terrible haircut. Further cut sprites in PM64 provide some insight into two of the game's bosses. One recoloring shows General Guy wearing a much more militaristic green with a winged skull on his hat, whereas the unrevealed Tootin' Koopa shows us his terrible bowl haircut. Yikes. You're So Cool lawsuit. Nintendo faced a minor lawsuit involving the use of the song You're So Cool in an advert for TTYD. The claim was later dismissed when Nintendo was able to provide a contract with the agreed upon full rights of use for the song. Who lives in the well of Flower Fields? The identity of the individual at the bottom of the Flower Fields well is never revealed. Accessing the game's camera externally and taking a peek shows it's empty, so where's all this sniffling coming from? Mario eats a mammoth. In all of Mario games, Super features the one time Mario explicitly eats and kills the enemies he stomps. The Muth are elephant-like foes that drop bone-in cuts when defeated, pieces of the animal's body that he can now consume for an attack boost. Before you say it, no, Whack-A-Bumps are apparently pastries that Whack-A drops. Yoshi on a train. Post-chapter, a green Yoshi has a 1 in 16 chance to spawn on the Excess Express. This is the only Yoshi you can speak to other than your partner Yoshi Kid, and he's very easy to miss. In fact, I've never seen him. Luigi throws rocks. The audience in TTYD can interact with the player and each other in a few fairly interesting ways. They can attack each other, leave, throw items, or throw hazards. While a Toad audience will always throw you beneficial items, Luigi has a bizarre low % chance to throw a rock like X-Nuts or Goombas. What a guy. Merlue and Dementio. Dimentio is one of the most interesting characters in the Mario universe. While his complete backstory is vague, two popular theories are that he is the son of a master magician, Merlu, or that he himself is Merlu. Merlu was an ancient being and sage who created the pixels, and was said to have the power over dimensions. The Master Magician has a tragic backstory told by Carson the Barkeep, in a tale where his wife and son die in an accident, only for the son to miraculously recover in his father's apparent absence. Dimentio has a suspiciously detailed knowledge about the Dark Prognosticus, which Merlu had direct access to. And if either theory is correct, it gives Dimentio an additional character motivation to turn against Blek, who is in possession of the book that Blek's ancestors stole from the ancients. Zesty Regional Recipes. Zesty can cook other recipes in different versions of the game. There are lots of additional life shroom recipes in the Japanese version, such as cooking a regular mushroom with a turtley leaf, or how cooking a thunderbolt and a thunder rage on a Japan copy gives you the valuable trial stew. This was all recently outlined by user JDAster64 and their website, the Super Mario Files. Samur Kingdom Lycoris. In Super, the Samur Kingdom is completely destroyed by the Void pretty soon after Mario and friends arrive. The flowers that grow outside the Samur Kingdom are red lycoris, which symbolize death and mourning in Japanese culture. A little bit of foreshadowing, perhaps. Snowman Gifts. PM64 has a puzzle involving the return of some snowman's hat and scarf. After finding the objects, the snowmen will part ways and allow you to enter the Crystal Palace, which leads to the chapter's completion. If instead you do not proceed into the palace and instead go stay at an inn for some reason, a toad will remark that there is a wet spot all over the floor and a mushroom waiting by Mario's bedside. How very nice of them. This message should not appear is a unique Japanese Toad dialogue that can be found once accessing the lower half of Toad Town early than you were supposed to via a speedrunning trick. Paper Mario is known for its quirky writing, and even the error messages are no different. The Toads have a variety of creepy self-aware messages like, "This message should not appear. I'll be scared if it does." Paper Mario on iQue. The first Paper Mario was released to Chinese audiences through the iQue player. Largely, everything seems to remain unchanged, but there is very limited documentation online thus far. There's very likely some translation changes somewhere. Mario's peace sign. Mario used to throw up a huge peace sign after defeating enemies in PM64, but it was replaced by the eventual thumbs up pose. Shadow is the Pixel Queen. Shadow is a boss that lives at the bottom of the pit in Super Paper Mario. It's heavily implied by Carson that she was or is the Pixel Queen, which began the Pixel Uprising against the Tribe of Ancients. Further possibilities is that she was also the daughter of Merlu, who was in a fatal accident and whose soul was transferred into a pixel. This could also mean she is a relative of Dimentio, forever unconfirmed. Dimentio wears a Phanto. Based on visual design similarity, it would seem that Dimentio wears the mask of a Phanto, an enemy found within Super Mario Bros. 2. The silver bullets being that their names are almost identical in the Japanese translation, Demon and Kamen. I'm probably saying that wrong. Screamy was a Smorg. Screamy is one of Luigi's companions that show up during his possibly embellished adventures. The naming conventions on Screamy's sprite imply that he was a cut design for the Smorg boss, making him the only completely original species in Luigi's party. Allergic status. The allergic status is one of the most uncommon sights in TTYD, as it can only be applied by a small number of ways, like the 50% chance after eating the rare item space food, or directly from the Shadow Queen's breath attack in the final battle. Allergic stops you from receiving other status effects, including anything beneficial like changes in attack or defense. Beldum caused everything. Beldum mentions to Grotus that there were too many prying eyes to kidnap the princess near the beginning of the game. She's referencing the moment she wore a cloaked disguise as the merchant whom gave Princess Peach the magical map, and which puts the events of the game into action. As at the final battle, Beldum tells the Shadow Queen it was all her doing. Beldum pulled the strings the whole time and awoke the ancient evil.
Hey, what's up? It's me!
Koopa Legends Women. Koopa Legends is a magazine that boasts an advertisement which reads, "Firmer shells in 30 days." They have, however, removed the part from the Japanese version that says it's also full of pictures of women. Army Bobbery. Admiral Bobbery's first design was a lot more outright military, including a beret and missile-shaped wind-up key. Attack FXF. Attacks FXF was cut, seemingly for being too creepy. The badge is in its final state, complete with a item description, and would play the laughs of the mouths from the Forever Forest whenever you did a hammer attack. Mimi is potentially a failed pixel created by the ancients, according to Carson the bartender. This would explain the mechanical gears seen along her sides in 3D mode, her special ability being, well, shapeshifting. Goomba family lives in a tree. Paper Mario begins his adventure by meeting the friendly Goomba family. The only neighbor is a toad who lives in the stump of a tree, and for the very briefest of moments in a cutscene, it can be seen that the Goomba family's house actually bears the ring pattern of a tree trunk as its siding. Thus, the Goombas actually live within this fallen tree instead of an ordinary cabin that the community had all assumed it to be for, I guess, like over 20 years. I actually came up with this. I could find no mention or documentation of this anywhere prior when I broke the fun fact via a Reddit post to the bewilderment of hundreds. I'm glad I wasn't just being dumb. Kirsty is worth 15 coins. Kirsty, the main companion, becomes an item sticker during the plot of Sticker Star. She jokes not to sell her, which is not possible, but by examining the code or by hacking in the ability to interact with her at a shop, reveals that she is worth a mere 15 coins. 50th Stay Party. TTYD has a rare cutscene event after you stay at an inn for the 50th time. They will award you with a picture and coins, but not enough coins to make up for all the inn stays. Herringway wrote Paper Mario. Paper Mario 64 stars Herringway, the Penguin author who mentions in a missable side conversation that he's going to write a book, and that book is called Paper Mario. This could be the very same book Luigi accidentally opens in Paper Jam, which causes a Paper Mario to visit the Mario and Luigi universe. So this begs the question, are the modern Paper Marios written by a penguin? Painful action commands. There were a few action commands that were cut during development of Paper Mario. One involved spinning the stick with your thumb rapidly in a circle over and over. Or at least they would hope you'd use their thumb. We all know what went down during Mario Party. Needless to say, this one did not make it to final, probably over health concerns. Flurry's mouthpiece. Flurry has a mouthpiece like that of a beach ball that appears when Mario uses her ability in the overworld. It's just very hard to see. Mander. The Mander is a cut enemy from early Sticker Star footage. It is a noticeably strange original species, which became forbidden at the time within the design parameters of Sticker Star. Fan accounts, the Paper Mario Beta Archive, which catalogs findings from the never-released Sticker Star Beta, noted scrapped sound effects with Mander's name in the files. These include a piece of text detailing that it likely spat fire. Sticky notes as merch. One of the rare pieces of merch or memorabilia from a Mario game is that of the Paper Mario sticky notes made alongside the Thousand Year Door. In some ways, it's kind of perfect. In other ways, how is this merchandise? Bottom of the Pit sounds. The final challenge at the bottom of the Pit of 100 Trials is Bonetail, an extremely powerful skeletal dragon. After defeating Bonetail, you get your final reward and there's no reason to ever fight your way back down the 100 floors to reach this room. If you do, however, you'll see that the body is now missing, and a new music track plays with creepy ambient sounds. Most people don't manage to defeat Bonetail, so even fewer have ever heard this creepy soundscape. Ninja can lower the block. At one point in Mario 64, a Ninja was planned to be a partner. Most likely it would have been the one who sought Mario out in the initial chapter cutscene, but in the final game he is not given any noticeable change from the default appearance, despite sprites existing for it. Further text reveals Ninja's partner ability. Quote, he can lower the block. This would have been pretty sweet. The block in question remains unlowered. 1% liked the story. Nintendo will semi-regularly send polls of their games to specific regions to gather fan interest. Infamously, They once were quoted to report that after sending a poll regarding the depth of the story from Super Paper Mario, less than 1% of recipients said they enjoyed it. How is this possible? We can only guess. Luigi dying animation. The audience in TTYD can have some horrible things happen to them, like being eaten or having their soul sucked. Well, it's pretty rare, since Luigi has a low chance to spawn, and it would have to be during one of these specific moments. He does have an outright death animation, and Cortez can suck his soul out, apparently killing him. Korean cat game. Super Paper Mario's greatest secret is the other game living within, specifically from the Korean port of the game. Several pastel, grassy levels and character sprites can be found, including the names of all of the cat protagonists. Almost every cat is named after a character designer who worked on Super Paper Mario, and the files detail that this project was worked on for about 4 months, even though nothing came about. Goomelda. Goomelda in cut dialogue is listed as Goombella's hero. While the name drop is removed in the final version, it could be implied that the legendary Goomba heroine that became the first cursed chest is Goomelda, one and the same. Gonzales is a villain. A small toad on the Access Express tells you that he was playing a game of pretend where he was the sheriff and that he defeated a villain named Gonzales. In Japanese dialogue that was cut for American release, Grubba refers to Gonzales, the nickname he gives you, as being the executioner from hell. So, sounds like on top of Grubba's other crimes, he was doing a bit of copyright infringement. Magic Pouch. A cut sprite from PM64 that was present in some beta footage of the game shows a blue pocket called the Magic Pouch. This likely would have acted as a way to explain how Mario stores all his goodies, or, strangely enough, his partners, since they all visually shrink inside Mario when being swapped out. Electropop was bugged for 19 years. Electropop and the Cookie were found to be bugged by YouTuber FatGuy703. As the items failed to give the amount of FP advertised, in Electropop's case, it would consider how much health Mario had and add FP on top of that. This seemingly took 19 years for anyone to notice that these ordinary, albeit uncommon, items were all messed up. Paper Poochie. Initial concept art for the game depicts a much more Mario World art style, and the character of Poochie being included, who first appears in the Yoshi's Island games.
What the dog doing?
Mayor Dower is eating pig. This theory comes from a small scene where Mario finds his possessed body chit-chatting with the mayor after Doopy is defeated. On the mayor's table is a stuffed pig that is being served as a celebration dinner. This may disturb some folks, as players know that the town was cursed to have villagers slowly become pigs, implying that the mayor may have partaken in some light cannibalism. A big wrench in this theory is that Doop at this point has allowed the curse to drop, and the villagers return to their human forms at the time of this interaction. Perhaps it was just sick curiosity that Dower is celebrating by seeking out a creature he almost became.
Holy shrimp, they're everywhere!
Drawing on paper ability. In early tests, the developers said they had Mario's special abilities be activated by drawing pictures on paper, but thought that would be too much. Partners have accents. An interview with one of the English writers for TTYD, Nate Bildorf, said in an issue of Nintendo Power that he wrote for Bobbery with a, quote, weird English accent, and he wrote some other non-specified character as a Southern belle. Flurry? Goombella? Probably Flurry. Pretty interesting that all partners had a distinct voice in the writer's head. Original Heart Health System. Paper Mario's early builds and beta footage show off a very different, more Zelda-like health system. Mario has cartoonish hearts displayed on his HP meter instead of numbers, and his heart is broken up into 3 segments. Each level up may have provided Mario with 3 HP instead of 5. However, it's more likely this was tied to another system entirely, one of collecting heart pieces, as a cut sprite of a heart container still exists within the files of the game. Voice acting. An interview with the chief director of Paper Mario, Ryota Kawade, stated they considered voice acting for the first game because it was becoming expected for titles on the N64, but decided to pass in favor of cutely stylized text sounds, as it gave it a, quote, cozy, heartwarming feel.
Hello, Mario.
Toilet King. In SPM, in the Merley Mansion bathrooms, graffiti can be found of an apparent Toilet King. So there you go. Who could be a greater secret villain for the plumber than a Toilet King? Captain Gills gave himself children. Post-game, Captain Gills, a monstrous fish you free in the sewers, can be revisited, and the player miraculously finds he has spawned 5 children. Title text says that this must have been a gift from a stork, but the parthenogenesis systems of some fish are a much more realistic explanation, in which they are able to self-reproduce without a partner. Agagu star, Agagu star, Agagu star. Test messages deep within the code of the game act as placeholders for the game's numerous dialogue boxes. Most are some variation of the alphabet like ABC or the word letter for each of Parakarry's letters. There are, however, some ominous, creepypasta-worthy strings that have been uncovered. Star, 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 ma mi, mu ma, mi me, mu mu. And, strangest of all, Agaga star, Agigu star, 0625, Agagu star, Agagu star, Agagu star, 075, Agigu star, Agigu ga star, Agiga star, 0875, Agagu star, Agagu star, Agaga star, 1.0, Agigagu star. So, that's kind of creepy. Toad has something to tell you. The blue Toad at the Toadtown train station mentions to Mario near the end of the game that he needs to tell him something when Bowser is defeated. Once defeating the final boss, however, it is possible to visit certain places in Toadtown, just not the tracks, since a red toad will interrupt you. Using cheats to get past this area shows us that though we can try and talk to the blue Toad, doing so simply crashes the game. Charles Martinet's last role? While Mario and Rabbids The Sparks of Hope was technically his last performance, as of now, unless they remake a much older Mario title, The Thousand Year Door may be Charles Martinet's last voice appearance.
Oh!
Rising Star Clock. As Mario levels up in TTYD, the stage upgrades and gains new props. Hilariously, just off screen of the level 1 beginner stage, however, is a clock. The clock is removed after the first stage rank up, implying this is a hidden visual gag where the audience members are literally watching the clock to know when your show is over. It can also briefly be seen in the Hooktail fight, though that's not the most interesting thing going on at the time. Goomba named Santa. In an early look at Paper Mario 64, during E3, the year 2000, footage for the game was captured in original Japanese text. During one battle, Mario fights a spiky Goomba, whose name when translated reads Santa. What happened to Santa? Why was he there? Bring him home.
From NBC News,
they like the Nintendo 64. That's going to be a big item.
So why did you put him out if you weren't going to make enough?
Well, it's, we
000703 1547. PM64 contains multiple timestamps listed as build dates. These reveal when different versions of the game were compiled. However, there is only one not labeled as such, 0007 03 1547. This date is listed within the game's plain text. It is entirely unclear what it is supposed to represent. Yoshi eats a Pokey head. The Yoshi Kid has a 50% chance to eat a Pokey's head with his gulp move, only after they have lost all their body parts. This is a super hidden and obscured behavior, as no other enemy interaction is possible like this in the game's final state. There are, however, unused animations of Yoshi spitting a fireball, presumably after he gulped a fire element type enemy, but this goes unused. Bone Chill is Lucifer. Bone Chill may have been an all-too-easy boss fight, but his design implies he symbolizes a much greater force to the people of this world, its version of the devil. In Dante's Inferno, Lucifer is depicted as a 6-winged beast encased in ice within the deepest circle of hell. Similarly, Bone Chill has 6 miniature wings, ice theming, and is described as being somewhat of a celebrity in the underworld. The presence of Bone Chill appearing once the void begins swallowing more of the world could also be a nod to Judgment Day, where Satan is said to escape hell with his armies and are battled by heaven.
It's really cute that you're gonna defeat me with the power of friendship and all, but again, I am the devil from the Bible.
Rosalina is related to Count Bleck theory. Post Super Paper Mario, Blumiere and Lady Timpani are shown on a grassy hill under a tree and a blue sky. In Rosalina's storybook from Galaxy, she recalls childhood memories of being under a big tree on a grassy hill and blue sky. Tippy recalls watching the stars with Count Bleck prior to him turning evil. Rosalina's book mentions watching the stars with her father at night. The only descriptions we have of Rosalina's mother show her with a dress and long hair, which rests on her shoulders, whereas the only depiction of Lady Timpani is a silhouette in a similar attire. Plus, both have similar powers. Bleck and Rosalina levitate and wear starry motifs. Bleck has stars within his cape, and Rosa in the star particles she can emit from her star-shaped wand. Now, it's extremely unlikely this would ever be inferred any further, but it is an ultimately interesting coincidence. Are Mario and Luigi lovers? Chuck Quizmo, host extraordinaire, can ask you a few of many possible questions in his optional game show. The 60th question in his question table asks, what best describes the relationship between Mario and Luigi? In original Japanese text, the answer choice, lovers, appears as a selectable option. Its English translation alters it to neighbors. River Twig's Bed is a palindrome. The song River Twig's Bed, if it wasn't disturbing enough, is a palindrome, being the exact same played forwards as it is played backwards. Enjoy the nightmares. Koops' house was haunted. TTYD has cut dialogue involving villagers saying there's bumps and knocks and spooky noises coming from Koops' house. In the final release of the game, his house is never a notable location, with no side quests taking place there. What was Bro cooking?
Oh my god, there's a bang at the door!
Okay, and that's all I got. That's the Paper Mario Iceberg. I hope you enjoyed this if you made it to the end. Holy moly. If you like, you can watch my other Paper Mario videos right here on MojoPlays. I did one on bosses. It's pretty dope. I've been Chiptroid. You can follow my Paper Mario-like project, Woodsy Whatnots, if you want. Seems pretty cool. Smash like, subscribe if you made it to the end to show that this was worth it. Just kidding. It was worth doing for me. My magnum opus. Have a good day.